Senate Majority Whip, Senator John Thune, joins us now. Senator, you passed $100 billion yesterday. What are the chances of you getting together on $1 trillion today?
I'm hoping the chances are really good. Obviously, phase one was the first $8 billion. Yesterday was phase two. The president signed that into law. And this phase three will be focused on workers, the employees, people who've been displaced by all this, small businesses, providing assistance to them, obviously continuing to support our medical and healthcare professionals who are on the front lines. But it'll be a much bigger deal. This is going to require swift and bold action. These are extraordinary times, and this response reflects that. And I'm hopeful that we can really come together here in the Senate in the next few days and get this done in a timely way, because I think it needs to be done. It's very time sensitive.
Senator, I know the Senate passed and voted 90-8. All 8 of those were Republicans, and their biggest concern was for the small business owner. They just said, look, they're trying to operate their businesses. We want their employees to be taken care of, but we're not sure they can afford it according to this bill. What's your plan for those small business owners?
Right. Well, the main thing for small business owners, Ainsley, is to just get liquidity, cash flow, to get them through to the other side. And we will get to the other side. And there were some provisions to help their workers, particularly those who were quarantined or sick or caring for loved ones, in this last relief package. This next one will focus specifically on small business owners and ensuring that they have that cash flow. And so we've developed a plan which we think is very workable and uses some existing sort of delivery systems to get assistance out to these small businesses, because the main thing we want to see happen is we want them to keep people employed. Right. They're obviously going to have to furlough some people in the near term. We don't want them laid off and then those jobs not coming back when we recover, and we will recover. So we're trying to make sure they've got that cash flow, they've got that liquidity, they can continue to operate. And I'm hearing from small businesses in my state of South Dakota, just like everyone else is, about businesses that are shut down. There's just no traffic. People are social distancing.
We just had a small business panel, and they're hurting. But Senator, for the people who are not part of a small business and they're just individuals, they've heard that they're either going to get $1,000 check or a $2,000 check, and kids are going to get checks. I know it's not written in stone yet, but just basically for the people at home sitting on their couches right now, worried about the future, what can you tell them about how the federal government is going to help them?
The thing that we're looking at doing, Steve, and of course this is still, we've got to negotiate with the Democrats, so this is not a done deal yet. But what has been suggested, the president has put this forward, and there's a lot of Republican support for it here in the Senate, is to do something along the lines of what was done back in 2008, and that is to get it out there quickly, get dollars back into the economy, and that would be in the checks, in the form of individual checks to singles, somewhere those making $75,000, married couples $150,000, and then, as you pointed out, per child an amount, and it would be upwards of $1,000, perhaps hopefully higher than that, per individual. But it would help ease this all the dislocation and disruption that's been caused by the coronavirus and people whose lives have been adversely impacted economically. And so I would say this package is going to be more focused on the economic impacts that average families are feeling and small businesses are feeling, also continuing to deal with the healthcare crisis as well.
Okay, you got it. By April 6th, one payment could come, and by May 18th, the second payment could come. We think maybe $1,000 each. The threshold $75,000 for couples, $150,000. But here's my question to you, Senator: what do Democrats want where you think is a bridge too far? Because Senator Schumer and the Treasury Secretary are speaking.
That's right, and the Democrats have their own ideas. A lot of their ideas have to do with using government programs to get the assistance out there. We think a much cleaner, more efficient, and swifter way is to get checks out the door and get them in the hands of the American people. So they're talking about a different mechanism. I'm told there's some discussion about using the unemployment insurance accounts that the states maintain to help deliver assistance, and that's one idea that's out there. But I would hope in the end we can agree around an approach that does get assistance out there as quickly as possible to the people who need it. And the check approach that the president has put forward and that many of us up here think makes sense, I think is probably the best way to do that, but we'll see. We've got to negotiate, as I said, with the Democrats.
But why did you guys try to jam Afghanistan war funding into this?
Well, that wasn't anything we were doing. We had one of our members who offered an amendment basically yesterday to offset the cost of that bill that we passed yesterday with funding from closing down the war effort in Afghanistan. That failed 90-3 or 97-3, I think it was. So there wasn't support for that. That's not something that we'll be contemplating.
Good.
Okay.
All right, Senator John Thune, we know you're awfully busy. Thank you very much for joining us from what sounds like a very deserted U.S. Capitol.
It's a little quiet here, but thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.